Welcome, everyone. This is Effie Davy, and this is Energy of the Week. And I haven't been with you for a long time, but there was reasons for it. But we decided this most popular people that really was asked and loved by our audience. One is Songbird, grandmother Songbird, that she's been here many times with us, and also Kathy Hartstein. Hartstein, correct? Am I spelling that last name correct? Yes, good. And we're here to talk about the real new year that just started. Actually, grandmother Songbird will talk about the Aztec calendar that she's been studying for so many years and to tell us what's going on. And we're just going to kind of tell you about the energy of this week. I think actually we talk a little bit for the year, correct, Songbird? We can talk a little bit about the whole year and what we're feeling is going to happen from now on, but also we can focus on the energy of the week. So tell us. I'm so excited to hear.
I think that's without the calendar, I think the energies are pretty self-explanatory, right?
Okay.
I mean, like the calendar just kind of confirms it, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory to anybody. This is the last year in a very powerful 5-year cycle. And this cycle comes around every 52 years. And it means that one cycle is ending, so another can begin, and the energy is very intense because whatever is going to die with this cycle is going to die, and this is the year it's going to die. I mean, it's been happening since 2020, and we see what happened in 2020 when this cycle started. So we have a 5-year cycle where it's a renewal, it's a transition, and it's going to put into effect the next 52-year cycle, which for us is going to be our last cycle. Very few people get to live through 2 of those cycles. Like some people, if they're 52 right now, that's a powerful time because that means you've already lived it once, you're going to live it again. And so I feel because of that, and because of the changes that we're about to go through, this is the time where women like 50 and over, it's your time. It's really your time to put together what you have been doing because you're the bridges between the old world and the new world. You've lived in the old world and now you're preparing for the new world. And those are the voices that have to be amplified at this time because those are the voices that will pave the way for the next generation and generations to come. So some of the changes like you will see during this time is changes in medicine, changes in education, changes in healthcare, changes in global structures and how we operate business as we're seeing on a massive level and how we're going to go forward in this new time. And I feel like whatever is being crushed and demolished and we won't even know what it is until next year because next year it's a whole nother energy. We're in it. And this year it's a midnight sun, which means that the new year and the new day begins at midnight. Now, it's not like that always in the calendar. Sometimes it's sunrise, sometimes it's sunset, but this is a midnight sun, which means it's a feminine sun. It means that it's about going within, like in the East, they say the yin. This is yin. It's not a yang year. It's like you try to push something, and if it's not fully developed within, it doesn't manifest. And it's slower. It's more strategic. It's more calculating, like the snake.
Yeah.
Chinese New Year, it's the snake year, and actually, snake is cold. It's more calculating. It can also represent deception and shedding. And everybody right now, especially if you're a woman, especially if you're 50 or over, you're going to go through a process of shedding and renewing. And it's going to ultimately lead to more power because it's the woman's power that's needed the most at this time. It's the woman's voice.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Also, we're in a 9-year, so that part of the ending, the snake year, which means also Kundalini energy. So the Kundalini energy rises a lot easier within the woman than in the man because we're more open because we give birth. So when we give birth, that Kundalini energy rises. And we are colder. I don't want to call us though very calculator in a sense, but I think we'll wait for things to take place, to like the 9 months that a baby stays in the womb, we have the patience, correct, to actually carry something a little bit longer till it actually manifests, which I think it's a lot better than being the doer and the pusher, you know, that kind of energy. Because I don't think the snake has that kind of energy, just slithers on the ground.
But you know, the snake represents the vibrations of the earth,
Yes,
the
exactly.
most close to Mother Earth. And in the ancient symbols and language, they would always depict like so many thousands of different types of snakes to represent all the different vibrations of Earth. And it wasn't really about energy as much as like, what are you vibrating? And then how that manifests.
What you vibrating in the manifestation. I'm sorry I interrupt you there. So what kind of vibration you give to bring a manifestation in, correct?
Yeah. And then the earth, you know how we talk about PowerPoints and stuff like that? Like, what is you, are you in alignment with the vibration of where you are? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here in Sedona, if I turn everything off, it's such a peaceful vibration. Like I was like, oh, look at the birds. Oh, look at the deer. Oh, you know, it's like a whole, but if I'm like in a city mode and I'm here, it's like listening to heavy metal and classical music at the same time.
Well, the city does that. And people in the city do that, classical and heavy metal and, you know, intense music, you know.
Yeah, and your environment is actually very peaceful, but
Yeah.
you're bringing the chaos.
And also, and I'll let Kathy tell us a little bit what she feels about the energy of this week, or, you know, you can chime in a second. But I also want to say that between 2025 and 2045, this is the time for women. It's a very powerful time now for women to wake up, because we do carry that energy. We do carry that vibration. So we better get our stuff together. You know, we better get our energy together and not living like a doer, you know, like a masculine energy, really kind of go within and really look at ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I really relate to the concept of the snake and that shedding of that skin, and like you said, it's a 9 year, and this real sense of completion, and that this is this end of a cycle. And the snake is also like that feminine creatrix, right? That Ouroboros, that energy of the primal stew, I guess. And so I like that idea that that feminine is also waking up in this new cycle. Like you said, it's a yin time, and that there's a shift, and it can be unsettling too, right? Because like things are ending, things are maybe, you know, really shifting and changing and disintegrating in a lot of ways. And to sort of be the one left standing in the midst of all of that can be a challenge.
For sure. Yeah, I kind of agree. And I think if we want to think of this next, this year, not the next year, but this year that we're in is going to be a very powerful year. And everything seems like, you know, how do I say? It's not like a bomb. It's like it's kind of more like an earthquake, you know, like you're in the midst of this earthquake, the shake up. Everything is getting shake around in the world, in you know, in the politics, in ourselves. Everything is getting shaken. So why do we have to be shaken? It's a very interesting question. I feel that the reason we have to be shaken like this is because we really have to let go. We cannot be the, you know, the convention person that it just goes home, goes to work, you know, has a car, has kids, has, you know, all this stuff that is just like put you in a box. You got to get out of the box, you know? I mean, I know people that never travel, they never go anywhere, they stay in one place. Or I know people that are like, oh, what? I can't really let go of, you know, drinking coffee every day. Or, you know, there's certain things that people stay in the box that I think this is why the shakeup is happening. I don't know about you girls. What do you think?
the vibrations, the literal vibrations of the earth, like those snakes is changing.
Yeah.
If we don't change, where are we going?
Yeah.
How are we evolving? Most people tell me, well, it's not happening to me, I'm fine. But it's happening over here. But eventually it will happen over there because the vibrations will move that way, right? And it's like right now, I don't care who you are, where you are, you're feeling some kind of vibration.
Yeah. And I think it's like, don't get too comfortable, right? Like what you're saying, Zephy, that you may be in this box or whatever, and that you have to sort of be willing to shed what was to embrace what's is and what's next. And I think that's challenging because I think a lot of times that makes us feel uncertain or confused or scared. And so we kind of hold on tight, but almost the tighter we hold on, the more unstable that ground underneath us becomes.
And also when, what you're saying, Kathy, is when we stay so, in this box, we also create fear because we have to think what's going to happen in the future instead of kind of looking what is happening right now in our own world, but what's happening in the outside world, like, Songbird just said, it will affect us, correct? And people don't understand that. They're like, well, like you said, it's not happening to me, it's happening to them. But it's happening to you in some kind of level. You just maybe don't want to look at it. You don't want to look your dark side. You don't want to look at your shadow self. But it's happening in some kind of level. Maybe the stress that you get up in the morning and you don't take 5 minutes to meditate because all this stuff is coming into your field, and you're saying, oh my God, how can I deal with this? I can't let go of this boyfriend that left me 9 years ago or 10 years ago, but I'm still wanting to be with him. And you're struggling, you're just you're either in the past or in the future. Yeah. And that's the shakeup I think that's happening. It's like, let go your past. It doesn't matter anymore. Whatever happened, happened. And let go of the future because it's not even here yet. Just stay into the now. And I think this is what teaching us, this is a very interesting year to be in the now and stay very grounded into moment to moment.
Oh yeah, and knowing anything can change at any moment, as we've seen within the last few months. Look at how much has shifted and changed, and nobody knows where it's gonna end up either until the end of the year. And that's what this whole year is. And that's why I said this year in the calendar is actually a foundation year. It's a 13 Kali year, which means 13 house. And the house is your foundation that you're gonna lay it down this year for your next cycle. And that's what we as a globe are doing. Everything in our world is going to be laying down foundations, new foundations. So everything has to come down. It's a demolishing for that. Just the floor to come in. Just the floor.
Just the floor.
Just the floor. Nothing else is coming up but the floor, because we're going to see what actually stands after the cards fall, right? The house of cards is falling, and then the floor will be left. And then we'll build the walls and the windows and then finally the roof. But, it's going to take all of us. All of us have to have a seat at that table. And what do you want for not only yourself, your family, your community, your world? And some people will have bigger responsibilities and some won't, but you have to lay your foundation this year. There's no way around it. There's no way around, because if you don't do it, it will be done for you.
That's interesting.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I really understand that sense of crumbling, like everything. I feel it on every level, right? Like societal, personal, things that, I felt like I could rely on for years, I feel like are topsy-turvy. And so I love this image of, okay, this is the moment to relay that foundation, to sort of start over from that place. It gives it, it's an empowering thought, because a lot of the times I just feel overwhelmed by all the things shifting and moving and falling apart, instead of thinking about that rebuilding and that growing and being intentional about that during this turmoil.
Yeah. And if you think of this week, and then we'll go into next week, because we really need to kind of bring, because we're doing this video in the middle of the week to, to be posted. What did you guys think about this craziness of the stock market? That show us that craziness of up and down, like down, up, and then down again. It's like that is part, I mean, I don't call the stock market a real world, but it's kind of showing the shakeup that's happening in every single level. It's like, from politics to money to stock market to spirituality. Even spirituality is getting shaken up, I think even our spiritual self is trying to decide where it wants to go, where it wants to be, because it gets so much bombarded of so much energy that really it's hard for people to make a decision of who they are, because the spiritual self is just you. It's just one. It's not like all this other stuff. All this other stuff is combined what your soul is about. So how can you make that in one big soul of yours and be okay with everything? Be okay with everything is showing up.
Yeah. Well, that kind of goes along with this year, because 13 is the highest level of consciousness.
Mm.
And where we are in the calendar, because the calendar goes up and down too, like the stock market. And actually, where the calendar right now is at the highest level of consciousness, but where it's going is down. So it's a descension. That's why it's a hard time, because we're actually going down, not up. But if you focus on the stock market and money, and it's going to be a dissension, because the material world is not where your focus should be. It's on the spiritual, but not the spiritual like we know it. It's consciousness.
Exactly. Absolutely.
It's you and so with what you want to invest in is your consciousness. Like you were talking about meditating, going outside, getting, vibrating with the earth, getting back in tune with your biorhythms, and getting really aligned with where you are and what you are and who you are, and raising that consciousness, because that's what's going to elevate everything in your life. And so those people who are like really attached to the stock market, think of how many people are so attached. They watch it like, and it goes up and down, and then they base their whole entire existence around a number.
Yeah.
That is always fluctuating and has nothing to do with your consciousness or who you are. There's the spiritual awakening.
I think this is so interesting, because I personally went on that roller coaster of that fear, right? When the stock market is going down. I don't have a lot of in the stock market, but I was like, I called my person, and they were like, it's going to be okay, and then I had to shift over to that conscious space and let go of the fear and trust in the universe, and sort of just release some of that. So I love what you described, because I literally went on all of that.
That's a roller coaster.
It is and also the roller coaster has to do with our subconscious, because the subconscious stays in the fear, correct? But if we think about consciousness, I can't even say the word right now, consciousness, we rise a vibration to that, even if we don't know what that means. As long as we don't get triggered, our subconscious self doesn't get triggered, what's going on around us, It's not to be attached. If something's going to go up or something's going to go down, is to just say, I'm working on my consciousness. I'm loving who I am. I'm thanking what I have every day. I love waking up in the morning and just looking at the sun and listening to the birds. And for me, I watch the sea, I went from desert, loving it, and now I watch the sea every morning. And so, we all have the places that we can go to actually feel centered and allow the consciousness to come up.
Yeah. And I know we're all feeling it, because I was starting to, I never hardly watch news and stuff, and I was watching it and I was like, oh, there's this feeling of doom happening in my body, And then I would go outside and I was like, but that doom is not here. I'm creating it. It's like I'm feeding the doom, because this is why it's happening, because the old system is like it's dying, right? We all could feel the death of the old system,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And it's holding on for dear life. And the only way for it to hold on is fear.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the only way. It's like, oh, am I going to have enough to eat? Or what's my retirement? Oh my God. Oh my gosh, everything's going up. And it's like you're actually creating it, right? And that's why even all the frauds in spirituality, they're gonna go there. You know how we all know that because we're here.
Yeah.
You know,
It's been this part for many years.
we've seen it up close and personal, especially here in Sedona. But you know, that's why it's changing, because it's going back to what it really is, which is
True
love.
spirituality.
Yeah, real
Yeah.
spirituality is where there is no difference between what I do and who I am. It's the same thing. Like spirituality is not something like grandiose and I'm spiritual and you're not spiritual. It's how do you live your life?
Right.
And
You know,
it's ultimately love.
exactly. And all humans have that comparison, you know, I'm this and you're not. Or the other day I sat somewhere and we were talking about a little spiritual and a little bit more of the Christian side. And this person turned around and said, how do you know it wasn't of the devil? I'm like, okay, that's really a judgment. You know, how can you say that? What is of the devil? Everything can be of the devil and everything can be of God. What's the difference? Correct? As long as we feel okay and we balance inside, either side's not going to affect us. What's going to affect us is our true self. You know, if we speak the truth within ourselves, that's the biggest effect, I think.
Mhm. Yeah. And, you know, the devil is also something you feed.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
if you're worried about the devil coming, which, you know, like if you looked at the word devil, the actual word backwards is lived.
Yeah.
Mhm. That is
And
interesting.
also in ancient Greek means light. It comes from the word diablos,
Oh,
you know?
How do you, I mean, there are people who actually worship devils and demons and they are the nicest people you'd meet too. I mean, it's all in how they see it, right?
Exactly.
That's
How we see it.
consciousness.
Well, and I think one of the things you talked about that I thought was interesting is about feeding, right? Like, what are you feeding yourself? You know, if you're bringing that doom into you, and what energy are you putting out that is feeding other things? And I feel like in this time of tumult, of uncertainty, of all of this energy and some things that, you know, could feed that doom, like you're talking about, letting our consciousness make that be a choice for how we want to, you know, really be able to ingest the things around us and and in what way, and nourish ourselves, and then how we want to nourish the things around us and feed. And I think that that's a really important thing for us to do, because that's the soup of the world, right? So whatever's happening, if we can bring that energy to it and the perspective that we're talking about, which is building that foundation and creating this new world order in a sense.
I don't know. Yeah, that world,
No.
you know, yeah, it is.
Whatever, you know what I mean? That
The real new
that
world
it's
order.
coming from this place that is heart-centered. You know, I think that that's an important thing to remember in all of this, because I think it is easy to be thrown off center or to find yourself in that situation. And like, you know, we have practiced this, made this a priority in our life, but some people are just discovering this or finding this, and being able to really strengthen those muscles in a tumultuous time can be a challenge.
But we also, even if we've done so much work, we also have to stretch some muscles sometimes, because it doesn't matter. You know, I've been doing this work 35 years. You've been doing it for 25. I don't know. You know, we were doing it all for a long time. We've been in a very intense place like Sedona that brings everything up. So no matter what you do, you're going to get it. You know, you're going to really get it. But I feel even now, for me, I still have to stretch a muscle. I still have to get to the next place. It never ends, you know. I don't feel the growing in your conscious place never ends. And I think it's very powerful, and I think it's very beautiful, you know.
I
So
mean, especially, as we are all guides, we're all teachers, we're all healers. We have it more. You know what I mean? Like people like that are, they can go and live their lives and do, but we are held to a different responsibility to the spirit world. And so whatever we go through, we're going to have to go through it to understand it so we can help people better.
exactly.
And so our journey is even going to be harder in a lot of ways because we have to walk the talk. There's a lot of people that can just walk or talk, but we actually have to walk and talk. You know what I mean? We have to do what we say, or the spirit will, yeah, there's that Poseidon you were talking about. There's that thunderbolt. There's that thing, because we came in with that mission, like, okay, we're going to do this because this is the time of the Great Awakening. You look at what's happening in the world, stock market going up and down, all this uncertainty, war, just all this stuff that we're up against, people losing their jobs. Those are all awakenings.
Yeah.
When you go through a spiritual awakening, that's what happens.
Yeah, getting out of the norm, or whatever norm in parentheses, because nothing is norm anyway. We think it's normal, correct? But the rug has to come out of our feet once a while so we can wake up and smell the coffee and really, really get to the next level, I really believe in that. So what do we think about this week coming? We started talking and we went into, I think,
that's like the whole year. We went into the whole year. Well,
yeah, exactly. Again.
For me, like this current week and kind of moving into the next week, I feel like a real shift for me. Like I do feel the heaviness of all the stuff that is been part of the changes and things that are happening. But I do feel like I'm able to take some steps forward, and I still am sort of dealing with the fact that even as I'm stepping forward, the ground does not feel solid underneath me, but I do feel like I am still able to take that step forward. So that feels like a little bit of momentum that's coming in. That feels kind of good to me.
You know what? I mean, I felt that way too. Like up until probably a couple days ago, I felt the energy shift. And what I feel is happening this week is unexpected blessings. And I know it's like the ground is still not stable, or not. We haven't built that foundation, but it's those things that come out of the blue that we want to look at. And it might be something so small, like a little feather or something, or a smile, or just a shift in some thought. But I really feel like this full moon is bringing in unexpected blessings that we should really be like grateful for, because there is an energy shift happening, and I feel like it will happen more towards like the 21st, but we're going to start to see new winds coming through.
You're right. We have a full moon. I totally forgot about it. You're right. It's a full moon coming in, and in the next couple days. Wow. So it all kind of flows together. I get so excited when I read astrology, or I read energy, or I feel it, and it kind of coincides whatever happening outside of me, and I get excited because this is a new moon. A full moon. For sure things are going to be different, and for sure things are going to be shaken up for us to release things and get them back into the place that we were, because after the full moon we go back into a dark phase, correct? There will be a dark phase, but I feel for this week is going to be extremely turmoil for the world. I don't want to be gloom and doom, but that's what I feel like. A turmoil it's happening. And I think it's not going to settle till like maybe the 21st, like you said, like to when the new moon comes in, because I think it's all these energies need to settle somehow, and yet is not settling because people are not settling, and if our aura, our energy doesn't settle and feels okay with what is happening, then the world also does the same thing with us, you know? Like I said, the microcosmo and the megacosmo, you know, it's whatever happens outside, it happens inside. So I think it's interesting that we have to go through these turmoils right now till like this new moon coming in.
It's like you have to go through the turmoil, but look for those unexpected blessings. Because like yesterday,
I
like
love it.
I had all this kind of turmoil going on. I was telling you about my hot water heater and all that. But at the same time, I kept seeing 222, 444, 1111. Like I was hitting all these like moments where I was like, well, it's happening like it's supposed to be happening. Like there's nothing I can personally do except for what I'm doing. And yet everything is working.
Yeah,
There's
because you let go of control. I think you try not to control it. If your water heater breaks down, how can you fix it? How can you control it? You know, there's no way. You just got to go with the flow. And I think that's what we're learning with the Shakes Up, specifically this week and next week. It's like really get shaken and just accept the little blessings that are going to come in. Yeah, I like that. I really like that energy.
It is turmoil. I mean, this is April, and April 19th, 20th in history is like the worst day.
Oh,
It's when war breaks out. It's when, like if you go around the world and you look at history, if it's because of that transition. Aries is in its final degrees before it transitions to Taurus, and it's always nasty.
yeah, yeah.
It's always nasty. So that's why your vibration, because if enough of us are in peace, it calms it down.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly right. I feel very much in peace, even if I know there's big changes and big turmoil. I don't know what it is, you know? I have no idea why it's doing that. Maybe because I did 2 days of fasting and I feel really good. That's really good for the body, you know? Just to
when you've been through enough shakeups and turmoil, it's like, oh yeah, now everybody's going through it.
Well, and Zephy, you're a little bit like bamboo, you kind of go wherever it needs to go, and you still sort of have your root, and that's from, like you said, sort of your philosophy of living that has given you those skills. And but I think it's really good to bring this to the forefront of like, yeah, how do you kind of maintain your ground even when it's shaking underneath you, and then look for those unexpected blessings, because I think that really kind of helps navigate all of it, because there's always those unexpected blessings, right? Sometimes we pay attention to them, sometimes we don't. And when everything is topsy-turvy, it feels so easy to focus on the chaos or the fear or the things that can be very difficult for us, and not let room in for those things that are those reminders of all of that beauty and grace that can be part of our lives as well. So I think it's so great to kind of put that into the forefront of our minds, because I think it helps you navigate that craziness so much better.
Yeah, and it seems like there's this year, it's big changes also in family structure. We went back to the year, but and I think this week also will show that there's a lot of breakdown in structure, or where we thought families about, or what we thought, and it's not happening probably to all of us, but I think a lot of people are going to see that the family structure is not what they thought it was. Like they thought if their mother loved them or the dad loved them, they're realizing, well, they probably never did, or whatever, there's going to be that kind of thing this week. I don't know why, but it just came to me energetically, and I kind of feel that. So we have to watch out for that, for people to watch that out.
Yeah, it ultimately is the love or fear,
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing about it is that everything is so divided, right?
Yeah.
But actually, it's not. If we were to go talk to 100 people, we would find something we're all commonly connected, like Mother Earth. We're all connected to Mother Earth. We're all connected to this place. And we all have similar hopes and dreams for not only ourselves, but our families, but the world. And those divisions that divide us are artificial. And I think that's going to be the biggest test going forward is, are we going to reach across the aisle and realize we have more in common than not and come together? Because we're going to have to come together locally for sure.
Yes.
These breakdowns in our systems are going to leave so many gaps and holes that we're all going to have to somehow chip in. It's just, I mean, when you think about all this stuff that's happening, it's like, okay, well, we have to look at local resources and community first.
Mm.
And those are not going to come together if we're all divided and won't even talk to each other.
Yeah.
Those shakeups that have to happen in families and this and that, all that stuff has to happen ultimately for us to come together.
You're right. That's probably because it's been like that for a while, and separation, and now everything has to come in the community and support each other no matter what is happening. Yeah. Makes sense.
It's going to have to happen. I mean, if we don't do it, you know, we lose much more than we gain. And
go ahead.
I was going to say, you can't be a lonely island.
No.
Can't be all by myself.
But that was the thing for a long time, you know, everybody was for themselves. Everybody had to do it what they had to do. Everybody had to lock themselves in their house and saying, this is my territory, you cannot come in, or whatever, you know. And so now that's changing. So if we had to give an advice, Kathy, what advice you give to our audience today for the next week? Oh, part of this week and next week. Because
yeah, I think, you know, go with the flow. Like, don't hold on too tight to anything. So don't think that now is forever, you know, just let yourself trust a little bit more than you maybe feel comfortable doing, that you are going to be okay and get to where you need to be. And as you're sort of stepping forward, know that that ground may feel really unsteady, but that you are still able to stand.
And Songbird?
I would say just stay grateful. As you're walking, take them shoes off. You have much better traction. And just, that's what's really been for me, is I go to my altar every morning. I'm just so grateful. I just feel so grateful for whatever, even if it's good, even if it's bad, it could be a lot worse. And just staying in that gratitude. And when I hear the birds, and the deer have been coming. Every time I go outside, there's deer, and they're baby deers, and they're eating my bush. They're eating my roses. They're eating everything. And yet I'm like, oh, they're so cute. Even this is like the world, right? They're destroying my yard, but they're so cute while they're doing it.
Yeah. Right. Animals also bring a lot of blessing in our lives, and we need to really honor them and take care of them. You know, here in the island, we have a lot of stray cats. Greece is very famous for stray cats. So I have to go and fix 7 of them now, because I have 5, they're mine. They hang outside that I saved from a flood. And now there's other 7 showed up, and they eat out of the same bowl. They all hang outside. I have a big yard, and they're all hanging, you know, so I got to take care of cats. So I have to go fix them so they don't, you know, have more babies. So it's interesting that animals are such a blessing in our lives. It's unbelievable. You know, the deer that eats, the cats that you have more cats, that, you know, I have a little doggy at home, and, you know, training her now. So it's just, I think everything is so beautiful in our lives and so centered. If we want it to be, that's, you know, if we want it to be, you know. So for me, that's the advice will be, just look around you, be grateful and thankful every day for what is it there, from your smallest animal that walks on the, you know, outside that you don't even see, to like the animals that you see and you take care of, or eating you know, your bushes, and, you know, not eat, you know, and we have all this stuff that we don't look at that. So I think it's time to, consciously look at every single thing every day. And that's what consciousness means. And same thing what's grounding means, correct? If you're grounded, you're able to see what's going on around you with a bliss and not judgment. Because you're not afraid, because you're stable, your roots are here. So yeah, thank you, ladies. That was a beautiful comeback of the energy of the week. It was time for this to come back because, it's part of the endings, and, we had to go through endings to come back out bright and happy and new. So this is what happened in our lives. So thank you very much, girls. I really appreciate you, and thank our audience for watching us. Thank you so much. Thank you.